Hello again, my seventh graders. We have still been working on percents, and we are going to finish up all this percent stuff this week and take an assessment on it. But today I wanted to practice a little bit more of percent of change, one specific area, partially because it'll be really good practice, but also because I just think it's interesting and kind of fun to find out. We've learned what markups now are, what markups are now. But just in case you're still not clear, today's practice should help you become a little bit more clear on what a markup is and how they exist in our world and what kind of things have what I'm going to call crazy high markups. Things that actually cost this much, but people charge this much for them. Okay, and there's four main areas in our real world of things that get marked up a lot. And we're going to calculate percentages for those, and I'm going to help you get started and see what I mean. First, you need a piece of paper, and we are going to fold it. I have graph paper here. Lined paper will work just fine. We're going to fold this in a way that we have folded it many times in order to get 16 total boxes. I'm going to fold in half once this way. I'm going to fold in half one more time the other way. So I'm down to this. This would now give me 4 big boxes on each side. And then I'm going to fold the paper one more time this way. So I get to this size. This is quite a good size for showing all of your work and writing your answers down and everything we need to write. And it will give us 16 boxes like we need. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm not going to number every box because there's something kind of different we're going to write as we go through. All right, so I am going to write in box number 1 here. I'm going to write home service number 1 right there. And then I'm going to write home service number 2. And this box will be home service number 3. And this box will be home service number 4. Okay, what do I mean by home service? Well, this is one of those areas that gets marked up a lot. Home service means things that technically we can do in our homes on our own, but sometimes we hire other people to do it for us. And when that's the case, when you have something that you technically could do by yourself, but then you decide to hire somebody to do it, the price of you doing it yourself compared to hiring someone is going to have a huge markup. Not only because you're hiring someone to do a service for you, but also because you're paying for their time now. Okay, so I'm going to show you 4 of these home service items that people will often pay other people to do for them. And we are going to calculate a comparative percent. That means if you just did it yourself, how much would it cost you versus if you pay someone to do it, how much is it going to cost you? All right, and I have them on cards here, so I'll show you the first card, and they're laminated, so I'll try to get them in the right light. Home service number 1 is interior painting. Have any of you ever painted things inside your house, painted walls inside? Is that something you can totally do yourself? Yeah. So why in the world would you hire someone to do it? Well, because painting is kind of a pain in the butt. The taping part is actually the worst part, in my opinion. But sometimes you tape and then you paint all the walls and then you pull the tape off and you're like, oh, this didn't. And professional interior painters often have special machines, sprayer machines that they can use that make a nicer finish. And they just come in and they do it for you and then they leave. So we are going to calculate your own costs for doing interior painting, which if you're painting yourself, you basically just have to buy the supplies, right? Which would include the paint. That's the most expensive part. But then you might need some rollers and some brushes and some painter's tape. Okay, so we're going to say if you're, I kind of did some calculations. We've been painting a lot of my upstairs right now. So I did some calculations, and if you're painting, say, a living room area, you could probably spend about $200 on paint and brushes and supplies. That's if you do it yourself. Now, if you hire someone, I looked up, they usually charge by square footage and then the labor. If you hire someone to paint, so let's say this is what it costs you to paint your upstairs versus I'm going to hire someone to paint my upstairs, those fees can get huge. So doing it yourself, you're going to pay for the supplies, which is 200. If you hire a company to do it, you might be looking more like in the thousands, $9,000 for somebody to come paint your upstairs. Now, obviously, this is more, but what we want to know is what percent more. So we're going to calculate a percent markup. We are definitely going to use A equals P times B, or you can use P over 100 equals A over B. But remember now, to calculate A, we have to do subtraction. Remember that, this is percent of change. I don't want to know what did it increase to, I want to know the amount it increased. So I need to do 9,000 minus 200. Go ahead and type that in a calculator or just do it mentally. 9,000 minus 200 is 8,800. That is the amount of change. Remember, when you're calculating a percent of change, you have to subtract first. 8,800 is the amount of change. P is the percent, which is what we're looking for. And what's B? What would be the original in this scenario? In this scenario, the original would be your cost. What would it cost if you did it yourself? Just the cost of supplies is the original. Okay, so your cost is the original. There, we've got it set up. Now we're going to go divide by 200, divide by 200. And I sure hope you're writing all this down with me in this first box. So I'm going to type in 8,800 divided by 200. So is the answer 44%? No, hopefully we're very used to the fact that we get over 100% a lot, especially looking in these real life scenarios. That's actually a decimal. I still have to times that by 100. Interior painting has a 4,400% markup. And actually, I forgot, I was going to give that label for you guys so that you remember. If you look back at this paper or want to share with anyone, you can remember that this was interior painting. So are they charging you way more than the cost of supplies? Yes, but that's also because you're paying people for their time and their labor. Is it worth it? I don't know. It depends on how much you have budgeted for this project and how much you hate painting. That's what it depends on. All right, so one home service that has a huge, huge markup is hiring someone to paint your house for you, because you could do it yourself. But I would say hiring someone too, they know what they're doing and they often do a nicer job. So again, there's the balance. Let's check out what home service number 2 is. Another thing that has a huge, huge markup. Do you have a guess? What's a thing you could totally do yourself, and most of us do ourselves, but you could also hire someone to do it? You ready to see it? Home service number 2, house cleaning. House cleaning. Who loves chores? No one. Okay. So you can totally do it yourself, but you could also hire a house cleaner to come to your house periodically to do it, which is nice. So let's write down, let's put it on the top this time. Home service number 2, this one is about house cleaning. Okay, so if you clean yourself, well, what's your cost? Mostly your time, but also just like all-purpose spray and stuff like that. So let's say you clean your house. We're talking like an hour of cleaning, okay? Maybe 2 hours. Company fee of 150. I'm trying to remember no, this was 4 hours of cleaning. I got an average charge of, a lot of house cleaning companies charge by the hour. So if you clean your house for 4 hours, you spend a Saturday morning doing a bunch of chores, your only cost is cleaning supplies. Okay, so maybe you have an all-purpose cleaner, maybe you have a floor cleaner, maybe you have whatever you have. Your cost is about 15 bucks just for supplies, if you do it yourself. If you hire someone to do it, you're going to spend about $150 for 4 hours of cleaning time. Okay, so again, this says, what is the percent markup? So this is going to look very similar to this one. What do we have to do first? We have to subtract. 150 minus 15 is 135. So my A is 135. I'm looking for the percent markup. What's the original? The original would be my cost if I did it myself, $15. Okay, divide by 15, divide by 15. Here we go. 135 divided by 15. Remember, that's a decimal times by 100, and it's a 900% markup. It will cost you about 900% more to hire someone to do it than to just do it yourself. Which makes sense. So why do we hire anybody to do it? So that we don't have to do it ourselves. Because sometimes you don't want to go to work all week long and then spend your entire weekend scrubbing the house. Okay. What do you think is another home service that people would pay for, even though they could totally do it themselves? Here's the third one. You ready? Lawn mowing. There's other landscaping that could go into this, but sometimes you pay someone to mow your lawn so that you don't have to do it yourself. Now, what's the cost if you mow your lawn yourself? Not much. Usually just the gas to run the lawnmower. After the initial cost of buying your own lawnmower, it's usually just you got to put a gallon of gas in it so it runs. Okay, so that's why I put the supplies at about $4 because gas ranges anywhere from $2 to $5 depending on the time and depending on how much your lawnmower takes. Or some of us have electric lawnmowers, so we plug in a battery, so you're just paying for the electricity to run it. Either way, it's very cheap if you do it yourself. Again, it's just a matter of the time and the energy, right? So sometimes we hire someone instead. Do you notice what's different about this card? This card looks different, doesn't it? I'm still telling you how much it will cost you to do it, the original amount. But instead of telling you how much it would cost to hire someone or pay someone to do it, and think about who we usually hire to mow lawns for us, I'm telling you the percent markup. Okay, so this is going to look a little different. We're still going to use A equals P times B. But this time, what am I missing? This is your cost, so that's the original, that's the base. This time I am missing A. 492%. Do I put 492 in here? Of course not. We've talked many times now about how you never put an actual percent in when you're doing the math. A percent is just something we use in society because we all know it means out of 100, but we've got to change it to a fraction or a decimal. So I could do a fraction, I could do 492 over 100, or I could change that to a decimal, which is 4.92. You have to convert those percents before you do math with them. And what do I times it by? The original amount, which would be my cost if I just mow the lawn myself. All right, so this one, I just get to type in 4.92 times 4. And the A, or the part, is $19.68. What does that mean? Is that how much you're going to pay someone? No, that's the markup, right? So if that's the markup amount, then I need to add that to the original and find out how much it's going to cost if I pay someone to do it. So 19, 20, 22, 23. I'm looking at $23.68. Now, probably, are you going to hire someone that costs exactly that? I don't know. But if it costs you that much to have someone mow your lawn, are you probably hiring the kid down the road or paying your nephew or niece to do it? Probably not. This looks like a professional landscaping company coming to do that. But you're going to pay, if you hire someone like that, you're going to pay 20 to 25 bucks for your lawn to be mowed instead of just doing it yourself. So why do people pay that markup? Because we don't want to do it ourselves sometimes. Okay. Home service number 4, last one in this category. Here's something else that most of us do ourselves. Some people hire someone to do it for them, which would be super nice. Personal chef. We can cook ourselves. And if we cook ourselves, like if you're just talking about this card is talking about like one meal, okay, a dinner for your family. If you're cooking for, and you can actually go grocery shop and buy it all, you could buy a meal. This is probably not for your whole family, maybe just for a couple. You could buy the ingredients for a meal for maybe $9. Depends on what you're making. If there's steak or something involved there, $9 ain't gonna cut it. But let's say you're cooking a meal and you went and bought the groceries and it cost you $9. Now it's just your time, right? Making the meal. If you hire someone to cook for you, this is a 3.25 or 325% markup. And the question is, how much does the personal chef charge? Oh, look, this is per meal. That makes more sense. So this is for one person. Okay, again, this one is telling me the original, the cost for me, and it's telling me the percent. So this one's going to look like this one did. Let's write this down. Her home service number 4 was personal chef. Okay, I am looking for A. I know the markup, 325% is 3.25. This is for one meal. So my original, if I did it myself, would be $9. So now I go 3.25 times 9, which means A is 29.25. And then remember, when you know the percent and you just calculated the part, this is the amount of markup, which means you need to add it back to the original to find out the total cost. So if I add 9 to that 3.25, did I write the wrong thing down? No, 29.95 plus 9 is $38.25. So instead of just paying $9 to get your meal ingredients, you're going to pay closer to $40 to have a professional chef come cook it for you, which could mean many things. It means it saves you the time of cooking it, but probably is going to taste really good too if they're an actual chef. So this is one area, I did these four with you, one area in our lives that if we pay someone instead of doing it ourselves, there's huge markups. Notice the difference in these problems. These two, you knew the amount, so you had to subtract and you had to find the percent of markup. These two, you knew the percent, so you had to find the amount of markup and then add it back to your cost. Does that make sense? Now, I'm going to have you fill out the rest of this paper so you know the other areas. So home service is one area with really big markups. Another area with really big markups is in fashion, which means it costs them this much to make this pair of jeans, but then they stick this designer label on it and they charge you this much, which is always a lot more than what it costs them to make it. So you're going to put in the next 4 boxes, you're going to put fashion number 1, fashion number 2, fashion number 3, and fashion number 4. And you will see what those items are as you scroll down in Canvas, but just know the next 4 items with markups are going to be in this fashion category. Then flip to the back. So fashion is another category with really big markups. Entertainment is another category with really high, I forgot what I was writing, really high markups. Entertainment, I'm struggling to spell this. So you'll write entertainment, entertainment, number 1. Shouldn't talk and write. And yet I always do. Entertainment number 2. And then you're going to have entertainment number 3. And you'll see what those items are as you move forward. And then entertainment number 4. Okay, so we already did all the home services ones together. You're going to do 4 fashion things that have really high markups, 4 entertainment things that have really high markups. And then the last category that we're going to look at that has really high markups is called food and drink. And again, this goes along with the personal chef idea, but it's not necessarily someone comes to your house. It's like if you just go buy, if you buy coffee and brew it at your house, how much does it cost you per cup? Versus if you go to like Starbucks or Beans a Brew and go to a coffee shop, it costs way more at a coffee shop than it does at your house. So these are the type of items that will have a really high markup. Another category is food and drink. So you're going to have 4 of those. Food and drink 1, food and drink 2, etc. And you're going to try each group, 1 group at a time. Check your answers after you have tried those. Your learning is a lot better if you try it first and then check your answers. Those students that do that get really high test scores. And the students that just open the key and write it all down don't get as high of test scores. It's just how it works. So try the rest of these cards. Check your answers as you go. If you have any questions or need any help, of course, please let me know.